In 2007, you won the Academy Award for your incredible role in it. Could you briefly describe your experience, since not many people have had the experience of winning the Oscar?
Yeah,
what was it like?
It's a nightmare. It is a nightmare from hell. A friend of mine has nobody tells you this because nobody tells the truth in Hollywood. I have a terrible reputation for not being able to keep my mouth shut, but I'm proud of it. An old dear friend of mine used to have a phrase called the phosphorescence of decay, and it means that when stuff is dying and decadent, it has a kind of phosphorescent glow about it, and that's what the Academy Awards are like. It looks beautiful. Everybody has a smile on their face, but it is a sea of terror, envy, and rage. I've spent 40 years of my life trying to figure out what things feel like underneath the surface of things. It's been a kind of central core of my existence for about 40 years. And I tell you that that's what that event is like. First of all, you get dressed up, you get dressed up in your finery, and a huge limousine comes. Nobody's going to believe, I'll tell you this story, and nobody here is going to believe it. But this is the way it is. You get dressed in your finery, and then you get in the limousine, and you get close to the event. And you're on a narrow north to south street in LA. The east-west streets are very broad, and the north-south streets in LA are very narrow. And you're about half a mile from the event, and all of a sudden, you get dressed in your finery, and people you love, and they got booze in the car, and you can do whatever you want, and everything is great and exciting, and you've been nominated. And you get about a half a mile away from the event, all of a sudden the windows are rolled down. You say, oh, wait a minute, why are the windows being rolled down? And then you see dogs and cops. And there are dogs and metal detectors going under the car, and dogs are sniffing out drugs. And on the sides of the street are throngs of people. And these are not fans, these are people with agenda. These are thousands and thousands of people with placards telling Ellen DeGeneres to get the hell out of Hollywood and mind her own business, and we don't want people like you here, and other people with other agendas. So you got 20 different agendas of people, and the windows are rolled down. So you're afraid at any given moment that not only are you going to get arrested for God knows what, but people are going to throw rocks at you if you're not careful. And then on top of that, the car is going about a half a mile an hour, because you're not going straight anymore. You're going through an intensely laid out cement barricade in case people with bombs are trying to get through. So all of a sudden, the sense of gaiety and joy, and you start getting, there's a damper put on the sense of joyous expectation and thrill. And then you finally, after about a half an hour of screaming and yelling and barricades and dogs and metal detectors and cops, you get to the place where the event is about to take place. You're outside the event, and now you're confronted with the idea of now you got to show about 40 different kinds of ID. Much more, it's worse than the airlines, which is its own form of schizophrenia these days. Before the ID is given, and then afterwards, when people hate you beforehand, and then they love you afterwards. And then now you're allowed in finally, so you're one of the chosen 50,000. And to the right is a Fellini movie. There's people parading and smiling and slowly parading in front of the barricade. There's I swear to you, 300 yards of 10 tiers of photographers on the left, with enough flash bulbs going off so that if you're prone to epilepsy, you're going to get epilepsy. You're going to have an attack. And so now you're in the happiness place after going through the intergalactic arms armament conference.
Maybe that's-
Quiet! You want to get up here?
No, go ahead.
I'll throw questions at you
Who wants
folks.
to keep going?
What? This is my lovely wife, Suzanne. We actually get along very well. And then when you get in there, you're in the biggest theater that the world has ever known. There must be 158 billion people in there. Yeah, the people in the top rows are it's like this big. It dwarfs every conceivable Broadway theater imaginable. It's like some kind of ancient amphitheater. And that's what it's like getting in there. And then I completely embarrassed myself with a reporter. I have this terrible habit of trying to, I can't not tell my truth when I'm in front of people. I just can't do it. I don't know how. I wish I could. But if somebody asked me, how do you feel about Abigail getting a nomination? And I said, I hope she loses. And they laughed, and I said, I'm serious, I hope she loses. And they said, why? And I forgot, I'm like an idiot, I forgot I was talking to about 500 million people. I thought I was talking to one person. And they said, why? I said, because what does she need this madness for, this hysteria for? I said, she's 8 years old. I said, the kid's got to have a future. She's got to have a childhood. What does she need this for? What impossible? And then by some miracle, I mean, it got picked up by a lot of the press, and I was terrified that I was going to get stoned to death. But by some miracle, the feedback was, thank God there was somebody in Hollywood that had the temerity to say something truthful. And I was very, that was the happiest moment of the entire event for me, finding out that I was going to be stoned for what I said about Abigail.